option? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, thank you. You can go. Thank you. Thanks, Anita.
Yeah. So let me share my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, your screen is pretty much visible. Maybe you can just maximize this or little bit if can be adjusted.
Maximize.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Is it okay for everyone? It is visible?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Yes, Anita, you can
So
continue.
yeah. So today I'm going to take you through few more topics in this course. Okay, BW 462. So our first topic for the day would be your BW content. Okay, or the BW4 HANA content add-on. So this is basically similar to your BW content. Okay, so I hope everybody is from the BW background, right? All the participants at least have few years of experience in BW.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is similar to your BW content, the predefined content which your SAP gives us for easy installation and easy use, right? So it's the same thing. So basically, these two are the components which we need to install for using this BW4 HANA content. There are two of them. One is BW4 CONT, which is your industry specific content. Okay, so your industry specific, like your sales, marketing, your specific areas, finance. According to that, you'll have your complete flow in there. Okay, info sources, transformations related to them, info objects, etc. And your next one would be BW4 CONTB, which is your industry independent objects. Basically, your info areas, your info objects, or your conversion exits required for mapping of the complete BW4 content. Okay. So these two are basically basis people would take care of this as installation components. Okay, while installing the software, they would be taking care of these two. So that's why it's been shown there. And let's just move on. Yeah, and we have this help link where help.sap is a regular link which we follow, right, for any BW application. So same way, you can have more information of each of these specific industry areas. Okay, so you can go and you can view that. So as you know, SAP keeps upgrading, right? Adding new objects or changes to the objects, making some of the objects obsolete and all that. So whenever we want to use, we always go and refer to this help.sap content there. Yeah. So this is giving us, what are all the importance of this BW4 HANA content. We know that this content basically has all the objects basically required for your BW4 HANA. So you know that BW4 HANA is based on LSA++ architecture. So the objects related to LSA++, like your advanced TSOs, your composite providers, your BADI providers, okay, all that will be here. Open operational data store, your corporate memory layer, everything would be included here. So that's what is being mentioned here. So this picture is showing you what are all the industry specific areas which we mentioned above. So like, you have the sales and distribution, you have service related data like contracts, orders, confirmation, asset management, finance. All this comes under your industry specific areas of BW4 HANA content. Okay, you also have the success factors, which is your related to your HR. Okay, specific to HR, workforce management and performance management. So that also this content has that data as well. Then you have your supply chain. This is all common ones, right? Which we have controlling your master data, and this is your utilities. So industries like utility industry. So specific to that, you have your content down there. So same thing has been mentioned here. So this again tells us the same thing, that this BW4 HANA content follows your LSA++ architecture. Okay, basically it is for structured, different layers we have in your LSA++. According to that, you have your staging layer, you have your corporate memory, all that. So the same thing has been mentioned here. So I will not go into detail of all this. So let's concentrate on the important points. So yeah, these are the naming conventions. Okay, so each of these layers have different naming conventions. Like the first one, the staging or the corporate memory layer. So what will be our data model there in that layer? Your ADSO, which is your field-based ADSO. So that the naming convention would be /IMO. You can see the right-hand side column /IMO/CM. Okay, that would be the naming convention, info area name and the number NN. Okay, and then similarly for info source will be /IMO/info area underscore IS and the number. Advanced, similarly ADSO, advanced DSO, it will be D there, IMO/D info area number. And then you have your virtual data mart layer, you have your composite provider. So there you have your /IMO/V underscore info area and the number. Similarly, data flow as well, you have the different naming conventions /IMO/DF underscore info area underscore NN. So these are the naming conventions followed in the content. So here they've given you a sample example showing how the naming convention has been used. So if you see, they've taken one flow, which is your sales document header flow. So you have your data source here, and then you have your corporate memory or the staging layer here. Okay, so the naming convention is /IMO/CM DSO name. And then you have your integrated data warehouse layer where you have your info source. So the naming convention would be /IMO/S. It starts with S, SD underscore IS10. And then you have your virtual data mart layer. Then you have your the regular ADSO where you have your /IMO/D underscore SD10. And finally comes your virtual data mart layer, which is your your composite provider. Okay, so which will have your /IMO/V underscore SD10. So this basically tells you naming convention in the flow. Okay, so the below picture shows you the benefits of BW4 HANA content. Basically, it is trying to compare your previous version, BW versions, to your HANA version. As you can see in the picture, on the left-hand side, you have your classic BW content, FI asset accounting, and then you have your right side, BW4 HANA. So you can see in the previous version, you have 8 persistencies, okay, 9 data loads with dependencies and 4 info providers for reporting. But then on the right-hand side, you can see it is a much simplified version where you have just 4 persistencies for 5 data loads without dependencies and 1 info provider for reporting. Yeah, so we can see it is much simplified design. Yeah, the same thing which we have discussed in the picture, they have just mentioned it here. Yeah, and then we have the sources and connectivity. Okay, so now the BW4 HANA content available source systems they are showing you. So you can see these are the different sources connected, basically your data provisioning techniques. Okay, I think data provisioning has not been covered, right? I think that will be in your next, I think after 2 classes you have data provisioning. Yeah, that's fine. We can just take a little overview. So we have this first technique, which is ODP underscore SAP. Okay, this is one of the data provisioning technique. That means how data is fetched from your source to your B4 HANA system. Okay, so that the connectivity, like for example, you can see from your SAP regular business suite, you have your ABAP data source. So the connectivity will be through RFC. And then if it is your SAP S4 HANA system, and then if it is on-premise system, then again, the ABAP data source will be connected with RFC only. But if it is your S4 HANA cloud system, your ABAP system will be connected with HTTP. Okay, that is the only difference on-premise and cloud, the connection difference. And then in S4 HANA, you also have this new concept called CDS views. Okay, So that also we can use, like the regular data source, we have something called as CDS views. So that also we can connect through RFC, but the source connectivity will be ODP CDS and not ODP SAP. Okay, so different types of provisioning techniques these are. And the last one is your SAP success factors. So for that, we have some OData APIs available with this. So that we have to connect with SAP SDA. This is another provisioning technique. So with that, we have to connect this success factors APIs through this provisioning technique. Okay. So basically, the BW4 HANA content related to these areas, we have provisioning. The flow given through these provisioning techniques. That is all they're trying to say. Any questions?
Good so far.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is the same thing which we have discussed in the picture. Just trying to mention. Yeah, so we have just discussed, right, the different the provisioning techniques. So here they're trying to represent in color format. So you can see the yellow ones are the ABAP data sources. So each areas they have highlighted. And the blue one is your ABAP CDS views, which I've told you, right? It's similar to your data sources. So these areas like sales and distribution has both of them, basically, ABAP data sources and your CDS views. So you can use both of them. And then your OData APIs, like for that success factors. So accordingly, they have just mentioned it in color format. So similar thing. Okay, these little more detail they've gone, showing us what are those ABAP CDS views. More detail they've just gone through. So this is just for your reference, because anyway you won't be able to remember all this. When you use them, you will be able to understand them better. So each area you can see, finance and controlling, SD, plant maintenance, these are the CDS views which have been given through the content. And you can see these are the regular, regular extractors which we use, right? The yellow cockpit extractors, all these are the sales and distribution extractors. So say nothing has changed basically. All these extractors, we can still use them to extract data, but only thing is the provisioning technique has changed. So now, we used to use RSA 7, right, for the Delta functionality and yellow cockpit and all that. Now we will be using ODP enabled extraction. That is the only difference. Okay, so extractors are all the same. So this is again related to controlling plant maintenance. Yeah.
So previously we used to have all this V3 serialized processing, everything. Are we still having that in S4?
Sorry, the V3?
Yeah, V3.
Yeah, the job controlling, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's what. So basically, we have this ODP, ODQ mon. It is called as ODQ mon. Okay, that is where it is similar to your RSA 7, but which has much more functionality. Okay, so with ODQ mon also there are many techniques, like we can use SLT, only ODP we can use. So furthermore, optimization has been done. So we can also use this V3 update and schedule it. We have some, all these RDA daemons are there, right? So with that also we can schedule SLT, another technique. So with that also we can schedule. So there are different ways actually right now, not just one. Okay, so according to your requirement, we would have to configure and fetch our data. So I think you'll have more understanding if you go through this provisioning chapter actually.
Sorry to ask you one more question on the same line. So we still
no
have the table and the delta Qs.
Yeah, we still have the tables in the delta Q RSA 7, but as I said, right, the best technique to use now is your ODQ mon. It is similar to RSA 7. Okay. So we would be there's a program where you can convert your data source. Basically, you'll activate your data source to be available in that ODQ mon counter, like how you have your RSA 7, right, where you can see your separate data sources and the count of the data, right? So similarly, when you activate the data source with that program, right, you will be able to see the data source in ODQ mon. That is the only difference. Okay, so with much more functionality. Okay, and then you have all this customer service, quality management, production planning. So all this we know, right? All the common ones what we have, warehouse management. So I'm just going fast. Yeah, and then finally you have these links, okay, where you can refer to. As I said, right, the best possible one would be to go to help.sap and you can check the latest whatever is available. If there are any additions or new functionality, you can always refer there. I think that ends this chapter. It was a short one. Any questions? Any more questions from anybody else? Okay, let me move forward then. Okay, so our next topic will be your HANA analysis process. Okay, anybody has worked with APDs? The BW previous version, it's called APD, which is Analysis Process Designer.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so similar to APD. This is similar to APD. It's just that, you know, some more functions have been added. That's all. Okay, so basically HANA analysis process, it is called. Okay, it is one of the data mining technique, basically. Okay, so you have some available data with you and you're just trying to churn that data and trying to extract meaningful insights from that data. Okay, so that is the only function of this app. So for getting that meaningful data according to your requirement, you have different functions available. Okay, those functions are called your PAL functions. Okay, there are many actually now. Okay, many algorithms, everything is included right now. Okay, in HANA, many new things have been added as from the previous APDs. Many new functions have been added here. Okay, so the only thing is I mean, the architecture of HAP is you have a source, basically your BW info provider from where you're trying to fetch the data and process the data. And then you have your function in between, what type of churning or what type of thing you want to apply on that particular data. And then the data would be loaded to your target, which is your BW info provider. So this is the overall architecture of your HAP. Okay, so HAP, as I've told you, HAP supports this predictive analysis library, which is also called as PAL. Okay, and also these HANA procedures, the custom procedures, some L scripts, R scripts. Okay, so lots of functions have been included. Like they've mentioned few of them. ABC analysis. This is one of the common one which we use. There are all the other ones, little more complex and depends upon the requirement. Oh, so you can just see all these other ones mentioned here. So let's just move. Yeah, so this is the T code. So the T code for configuring or designing this HAP is RSDHAAP. Okay, the screen is this one which is shown, where you just have to go and you know that there will be only 3 layers, right? So first one is your source or your data source. So you have to mention what is your data source here, and then you will be your function, what function you're going to apply. So there'll be, I've just shown you on the top different functions available. So you just have to check one of them, and then your target. The third last one will be your target. So where are you trying to push your data? It can be a table. So the first option, analytic index, is actually obsolete now. So we don't use that. You can push the data to database table, or it can be included as part of the DTP also. Like basically you're trying to push the data to a ADSO, for example. So you can just enable it for DTP as well, so that data will be moved to the info provider. So similar steps have been given here, that you have to call this transaction, and in the overview page you have to mention the data source and the function, and then you have to choose your data target. Okay. We will be doing one small demo as well. So I'm just moving ahead. Yeah. So
almost like a open up, right?
Sorry.
This
Yes,
is
yes.
like open up.
That's what. If you want to move it to database table, yeah, you can open hub. Okay. So
along with
HAP,
database table, we can push to info provider itself, variable info provider.
yes, we can.
So there are two options in this
So
API.
yes. So I'll be showing that info provider option to you right now after we complete this. Okay, we'll be
Okay.
seeing a small demo on this.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so little more detail into that. So the same thing what we have discussed, the HAP data source. You can see here, it can be a BW4 HANA info provider, it can be a database table or another HAP also. Okay, so from one HAP to another HAP, you can basically fetch the data and transform the data further, basically. Okay, so three options for your data source. And then your middle one, which is your analysis. Okay, what kind of analysis you're trying to achieve. So that you can put these functions. Okay, the PAL functions which I've shown you, script or PAL functions. So there'll be many PAL functions. So you can just browse and check, choose one of them, or a procedure also. You have this HANA database procedures, right? So you can apply that as well. This is a new addition, okay, than the previous versions. And the last step is your data target. So as I said, the first option, analytic index, is obsolete now. We won't be able to use that. So the other option is your database table, and then the third option is your DTP, which I'll be showing you in the example how to use this. Okay. So this is pretty much about the configuration of app. Yeah.
Another app means how it is one app to another.
That's what, like if you create, that's what you have to create. I mean, you first create one app, right? Like for example, for any ABC analysis, and again, you want to use that analysis data in another analysis data. So in your info provider, I mean the source, you just have to select that. And then, so that data output from first app will be used to process another analysis. You will be choosing the analysis again, right? What kind of analysis? Now, second app will be a different analysis. So data from the first app will be input to this analysis, and then combined transformation of data will be pushed to your target. So similarly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So this is example which, you know, the DTP example which I'm going to show you. Okay. So in the DTP, I mean, this is the transformation where you are selecting. See, you can see the source. Source is your analysis, your HAP. Can you see? SAP HANA analysis process. So you can select the source to this target info object as HAP, and you can push data and report the data on the info object. So that's all they're showing here. Okay, there's something called as expert mode, where you can just, no, this is the procedure to click the expert mode, go to extras, and then you just have to click on this expert mode. So basically, you know, it will just give you more functionality, you know, more icons to test or browser. You can see the first one is export. You can export your HANA analysis into an XML file. You can see all the existing registrations. Registrations means, you know, your HAP configurations, your maintenance executions. So basically, more user interface you can go and browse through your existing apps or new apps, etc. Okay.
Registrations means what is that?
I think it is just you have to same thing, like you have already created a app, right? So you can like which objects you, like I said, like one app is nested into another app. So basically, it will tell you like how many are the subscribers to it, like that. It will give you information on that.
Okay.
So extra information on the app it will give you. So different tabs actually for the app. Okay, I think this ends it. So let's quickly go and do one demo on this. Just a second. Out. Okay, I have it. Okay, before that, let me quickly show you the business content as well, since we have just finished it. Just to show you what is in here. Yeah, can you see this is that business content we were talking about? It all starts with /IMO/BCT. So this is that content. industry specific content. Okay, asset management, financial, master data, quality, and all that. And also the success factors, which I've told you. This one, performance management and workforce management. Okay. Okay, so now let's. So you all have the exercise list, which I think Ravindra has shared yesterday, right? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
it a separate list or
No,
just
no,
from
no. It's
the
the
same
same one.
document?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. It's the
Okay.
same one. So you can use that as well. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and create one app. So we'll be utilizing existing info provider because I need the data, right? It'll take time for us to again load. Okay, so we'll be using an existing. So you can see the same options, okay? Info provider, table, and another app here. 3 options for your data source. And then you have your function. So we will be using your ABC analysis. Okay, you can use a HANA procedure as well, the second option. Then we will, what is your target? Your target, I'm going to use a DTP. Okay. So I've selected embedded in data transfer process, or you can also move it to your database table. So yep, after this, yeah. So see, you can see your source fields have automatically populated because I've given the data source here on your left hand side, and right hand side, what have I chosen? I've chosen the ABC analysis, right? So it has 2 of its objects, like one is your object to be classified and then your key figure for classification. Okay. So basically you're trying to identify, what is the most valuable product for your organization. Okay. So for that, I'm using this ABC analysis function. So I'll be using what is the product, right? So I'll be using the product ID, which is your this one. Let me just move this down. Okay, you have this product ID here. Just have to map. And then your key figure. Okay, so what will be your key figure? I'm going to take gross amount, order amount. So that will be my key figure map to this. Done. Okay, now you'll have to go to this analysis, and here you'll basically categorize what is your ABC. Okay, so you just have to give your percentage. Okay, so for what percentage you want to categorize A, B, and C. So 30% and more. And then your target, nothing to do in the target. Target, anyway, will be your product ID in your ABC class according to the percentages we have given. Okay, that's all. We just have to go and activate it. So your app demo is activated. Okay, now what you have to do is go into your. So what are we trying to do? We're going to try and load this data to your info provider, right? ABAP info provider. I mean your HANA info provider, right? So this also will be using an existing one. We'll copy and then we'll push the data. Okay, just to save time. So I'm trying to copy from an existing one. So let's name this. Okay. So you have copied your info provider. Let me show you the analysis process which we have just see. Can you see this? So this is the analysis process which we have created, right? App underscore demo. So that is visible under the SAP analysis process folder. And then we have just created a sample one, right? Okay, just activate it. Activate. Yeah. Okay. So this is our info provider. So what we are trying to do is now the next step will be create your transformations so that you're going to use your data from your app to this info provider. Okay. So your source here will be app analysis process. Yeah. Okay. That's the only change what we do. And what is the name of the app what we have created? Cheppy underscore demo, right? So you can just click here, check, see. It's not demo. That's it. Just activate it. Okay. Now we'll just go and create one. DTP. Okay. Trying to execute it. Okay. We have executed it. Okay. So you can see DP is finished. Okay. Okay. Now what we have to do is when you can see 121 records have been pushed. Okay. 121 records have been pushed. So what we have done, we've created the app. Okay. You have assigned a data source, which is your one of the info provider. You've created the ABC analysis for using app, and then you're pushing the data to another info provider. So you've used this app in the DTP so that the data from your app analysis is loaded to your target. Now we're going to report on that particular target. So let's open our analysis for office. We'll check this data here. And go to your analysis, select data source for analysis. Okay, search for your target. Yeah, this is our HAP demo. $121 records got pushed, right? So this is the one. What happened? Why am I not getting? Sure. It should actually come A, B, C. Not sure what went wrong. Maybe the data got changed. The demo system. Okay, so let me show you the final. Okay, in your exercises, you have a similar demo. Okay, so this will be the final output. Can you see? I mean, it's very small, right? So let me can you see? So you'll have this, segregation according to your classes A, B, and C. So according to A, like you've given the percentage, so your product IDs will be categorized and it will be mentioned here, B and down there, C. So this is a very, simple example, but this topic is a very vast topic. As I told you, right, with the inclusion of, HANA, there are many algorithms, new algorithms which have been introduced. Okay, so this is a total, different topic which we have to, really go into. Can't go really deep into it. So whenever the requirement comes, like see all these are the APIs, new APIs. Basically, you have this, machine language algorithms also have been included now. It's a big library actually, file functions. Okay, so if the requirement comes, then we'll have to really go deep dive into it. So the basic process is this. So if you just know that this is the main difference between the APD what we had previously and HAP, that's more than enough. Any questions?
So, the info provider source, right? I mean, we are using info provider as source for this,
Correct.
right? So,
Correct.
so all types of info providers are supported. I mean,
We have only, that's what. So it all depends, if the data, ADSO is a preferred one, ADSOs. In that also, like if it is a normal ADSO, not a cube type. Okay. So yeah, that is a preferred option.
I mean, only the one only with persistent data, right? We cannot.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
See, as I said, right, just this is, I have also, seriously speaking, I have also not worked on this. It is just a knowledge I also have. So yeah, this is how we move forward. As I said, right, this is like a vast topic to go through. All those algorithms, I tried to, go through to explain it to you guys, but it was like huge. So yeah, so just to know the process and fine. And if we really get a requirement in a project, right, I think that is where we need to start off. Yeah. Yeah. So this is about HAP. See what is our next topic. Yeah. Our next topic is your BW HANA Analytic Manager. Okay, this is all going to be a little theoretical. Okay, so If you want, I can give you a break for 10 minutes. Otherwise, we can continue. So this is a little theoretical chapter which I'll have to go through.
Yeah, we'll take break for 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes, come back and then I'll start. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I think let's take it as 10:30. So let's come back at 10:30. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Sunita, the third tab, Prajakta here, the third tab, SAP LA you are showing on the screen, is it for exercises?
Yeah, it is exercises.
Yeah, can you, is it having all exercises, I mean, for all lesson?
This
all
is actually
unit?
similar to what Ravindra has shared yesterday. I think Ravindra has shared some exercise yesterday, right?
Is
So it is same thing. Yeah, it is almost the same. But in case, I've not gone through everything. So if you want, I can share this as well.
Yeah, can you upload this in our share folder so we can?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Sunita.
At the end of this day, I'll
Yeah,
do it.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
You
okay.
know.
Yeah, I think I was on mute. I was talking. Okay. Okay, so let's move to the next topic, which is your BW4 HANA Analytic Manager. Okay. So you might be knowing that, for in HANA, we have different engines, which basically help in processing data, fetching data, or basically optimizing the whole performance. Okay, like you have these HANA calculation engines or the join engines or the OLAP engine. Okay, so similarly, we have something called as BW Analytic Manager. Okay, so this purely takes care of optimizing the query basically. Okay, so how fast or how quick or how optimized the query can be, so that it is basically saves the resources or the runtime, quick runtime. So it takes care of every angle of optimization of the query. Okay, so that's crisp about analytic manager. So you can see in the diagram given also that they've shown you that the analytic manager, it also has something called as runtime optimizer. Okay, this is a very new feature which has been added in the recent versions. So you have a query definition, and then the analytic manager basically uh, acts on that query definition, decides basically on what is the best possible approach for the execution of that query. Okay, optimized execution of the query, if you want to put it in the correct terms. So it can, so according to its decision, it can basically hand over the query to the the ABAP based OLAP engine, or to the HANA calculation engine. Okay, so it basically decides what is the best possible route it has to take. So that's why it is the BW Analytic Manager is basically a broker that compiles the most efficient execution plan to process a query request. Okay, it delegates operations in the right sequence to HANA, as well as traditional ABAP OLAP engine for optimal performance. This is the main thing. Okay, so main purpose, push down complex OLAP operations to HANA. And as I've just told you, what is new? The runtime optimizer is basically new with BW4 HANA 1.0 from 1.0 Service Pack 8. Okay, so same thing mentioned here. This is about the analytic manager. So it is basically to push down the OLAP operations to SAP HANA. So basically, I've just told you runtime optimizer, right? So analytical manager itself consists of the runtime optimizer as well. Okay. So what does the runtime optimizer do? The system basically always checks whether operations in HANA are possible for the relevant info provider. Okay, as I've told you, it will analyze the query and it will check. It is the task of the new runtime optimizer to select the best suitable operations mode. Actually, there are different modes which we will be discussing in some time. So it will basically check what is the best possible mode it has to choose. So when you execute a query, the optimizer decides whether the query is executed with less code pushdown, which is a negative decision. Okay, or using a enhanced expert mode, which is a positive decision. Okay, so if an enhanced expert mode is used, you get smaller result set in the database, okay, which shortens the processing time of the result set in the analytic manager. So basically, it decides according to the logic, according to whatever is there in your query, it will decide whether it has to push down to the HANA or it has to take care in the your ABAP side itself. Okay, so that is the main purpose of your runtime optimizer. You'll see there are different modes for it. Okay, before that, this picture shows you the push down list actually. So from different versions, okay, what all has been started being pushed down actually. So first thing you can see BW 7.x with BW accelerator. So you all are from BW background, so you know what is a BW accelerator, right? We used to have a separate BW accelerator for optimizing the performance. Okay, so when BW accelerator was there, they used to take care of all this aggregation, cell-based calculations, hierarchy, exception, etc. Okay, then BW 7.3 came on HANA. Then currency conversion was taken care of. Then 7.4 on HANA, handling of inventory key figures, unit conversions, hierarchy handling, and stock coverage key figures. Now next 7.5 on HANA, exception aggregation. And then BW for HANA, they are taking care of exception aggregation, also formulas with complex currency or unit conversions. And now the latest version, which is BW for HANA 2.0, they're taking care of conditions and variable of type replacement path as well. Okay, and there are more to come. So as you know, SAP keeps upgrading, so more will be added future releases. So as I've said, there are different modes actually of operation. Okay, so this is a little theoretical. Okay, you just have to understand what is there, which mode is what, and you'll have to apply accordingly in your project. Okay, so as we just discussed, what is the main purpose of the HANA? I mean the analyzer, the analytic manager, is to code push down for most optimized manner basically. So there are some modes which are called as the relative runtime modes. Okay, these are the new ones which are called relative runtime modes. There are three modes. First one is a J defensive. It is called J defensive, and this mode basically corresponds to expert mode 3. Okay, so this three numbers, whatever is mentioned, right, we will be discussing in detail in the next page. Okay, so for now you just understand that J defensive, it consists of this expert mode 3. Next is M standard. Okay, this is basically the default setting for any query or components provider. I think this is a default setting, and according to whatever is your requirement, then you can change the others. Okay, so the optimizer decides whether the BW query is executed with expert mode 8 or 3. M is a default setting. Okay, for component providers, objects, and queries in BW. And the last one, third one, is P offensive. The optimizer decides whether the query is executed with expert port 9 or 3. Okay, so as I've told you, these three are called as relative runtime modes, which are new ones. Okay, from the recent service pack. But previously they were called as these numbers. Okay, these 0, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. They were mentioned as run mode 0, 2, 3, all that. Okay, so basically there is this mapping. They have categorized the same run modes into three of them. Like the J is basically a combination of 0, 2, or 3. M is a combination of 6, 7, 8, and P is 9. Okay, now this individual runtime modes, which were available earlier, were called as absolute runtime modes. The new ones, these three, are called as relative runtime modes. Okay, now let's see what are those absolute runtime modes. Basically, it will give you a little more detail on it. The first absolute mode is mode 0. Mode 0 means no operations HANA in HANA. Okay, with this mode, the operations will not even be pushed to HANA. Everything will be on the ABAP application level itself. So if you do not want your system to use optimized operations in SAP HANA for selected query, you can choose this option. So, such type of scenario might occur, when you use virtual characteristics or key figures, and where you have the calculations of these key figures on a specific summarization level. There is separate, so you don't want your calculations to happen in your HANA at all. There is a separate calculation happening. So in that case, you can choose this mode 0 operation for your query. Next one is your mode 2. Mode 2 is individual part-time access. Okay, that means, so you all know that the optimized or the preferred best practice of defining a query is on a composite provider, right? So composite provider can have many providers underneath it, right? This is like a multi-provider, it is a combination of multi-provider info set, right? Union and join operation. So it can have many of them under it. So with this mode, right, mode 2, it will provide basically access to individual part-time provider access. So like each single info provider is accessed by a call of SAP HANA API, okay, against the generated info provider column view. So basically, just have to understand that if there is, if you really want each info provider to be accessed and then processed as a whole in the query, then you can go for mode 2. And mode 3 and mode 2 are almost the same, but mode 2 is, as the name says, individual part-time access. Okay, mode 3 is called optimized access, where the composite provider, the total join condition, basically all these individual providers are merged into a join condition, right? So it acts on the join condition, basically the access to mode 3. Okay, so that is the only difference. So you can read, for composite providers, joint optimized access is made to all the participating info providers. Okay, the composite provider is analyzed and a cluster of info providers with homogeneous mapping is created. Basically, a calculation scenario will be created in SAP HANA at runtime. So when the query is executed, and the query is based on a composite provider, so with this mode, what do you call, a calculation scenario is executed when the query is executed at runtime, and then there is this SAP APIs which will help in further or optimizing the processing of that query. Okay, and then let's move on to the next one, which is your mode 6. Mode 6 is exception aggregation. So if you have any exception aggregation defined in your query, then that kind of, if you have something like that and you want to optimize that, then this mode 6 can be preferred. Okay, so all the others will be, very specific to your query. So like, mode 7 is formulas. If there are any formulas, very complex formulas calculated, you want that to be calculated in HANA, then you can use this. Then you have formulas calculated in HANA with complex currency or unit. Some addition, again, the formula will have currency, complex currency or unit calculation. Then mode 8 needs to be used to optimize the query performance. And the final one is your mode 9, where conditions, if there are any conditions used, then you have to use this mode 9. Okay, so this is all very theoretical. So you just have to know, which one you have to use to optimize. So it all depends on your query design, your requirement, and all that. Okay, so yeah, so now where do you go and see this mode which we were just discussing, right? So let me show you. Yeah, in the screenshot you can see setting the runtime mode in the info provider. You can see this is your composite provider. There you can see down there in under runtime profile properties, operations in SAP HANA. And you see there is this M, which is your default setting, the middle one, which I've discussed, right? The three relative runtime modes, J, defensive, M standard, and P offensive, right? So M is a default setting, which will be there. Okay, for an info object also, you can see everything will be under runtime properties only. Operations in HANA will be M. Whereas, yeah, and for your query, right, as we had in the previous BW versions as well, for any query setting, where do you go? You go to your RSRT, right? RSRT, and you have this properties tab where you go and you can check. Similarly, you have runtime profile properties, operations in HANA, M standard. Okay, so this is where you set. So see, once you know that, these are all the options you have, and you know that the default setting is, the middle one, which is M. Still, if you think that, you have, specific scenarios like exception aggregation or conditions, and you want to change it, right? But you have to test, right? You can test it. So how do you test it? Same way where we used to do in previous versions as well. RSRT, go and use this option, execute and debug. Okay. So in this, you have the similar options here, which we have just discussed, right? Those modes where with exception aggregation, formulas with complex currency, conditions, all that is in here. So just check the option, execute, and see what is the result of your query. Accordingly, you can just switch the other options, and you can finally arrive at your conclusion what will be your best approach for your query. Okay. I think this is about it. Yeah, these are some of the links which you can, further if you really want to understand more on these execution modes and all, you can refer to these links. Any questions? Any questions?
We're good so far.
Okay. Yeah, so this also, right, I would request you all to go through the demos, okay? So for any unit, it is always better that, you go through the demo. Otherwise, theoretically you'll understand, but then tomorrow, after all the sessions are done, and when you go through the demo, you'll have many more questions, right? So it's better, whatever topic it's possible for that particular day, if you can quickly go through the demo, right? It'll be really helpful for you guys only. Okay, our next topic is SAP HANA optimized transformations. Okay, so we just discussed about optimizing your query, right? Query performance using your analytical manager and those run optimizer and those different modes. Now we'll be concentrating on the transformations, only the transformations. Okay, how we can optimize the transformations. Yeah, so let's start. So yeah, so this picture shows you, right, different versions in HANA, and you know that, like with each version of HANA, SAP improvises its data or its procedures, how optimizer, how any new features added, all that goes on and it goes on, right? So it is this picture showing you basically BW 7.3 on HANA. We used to use what? Modeling SAP GUI. So that transformation, there was a very certain, we had, see, from 7.3 on HANA, we had this HANA database included. So from there on, slightly it started moving the optimization of HANA, like some of the objects started moving down. Code push down approach has started basically from 7.3. And 7.4 also it was there, 7.5 and 7, and finally BW4 HANA, the main difference would be BW4 HANA modeling tools. So we do everything in, instead of GUI, we do everything in modeling tools, and then major part of it has been moved to HANA database. Basically, I'm talking about transformations, okay, related to transformations. So you can see in SAP BW4 HANA, all transformation elements are available for SAP HANA processing, or it is called as SAP HANA runtime. So HANA processing is called SAP HANA runtime. So all the mappings, conversions, formulas, your read info object, ADSOs, field, start, end routine, export, everything you can push it down to HANA runtime. Okay, but then say, having said that, it is not that no processing in ABAP has stopped. Okay, it is obsolete. Nothing like that. So ABAP runtime is also available because still we have some requirements where we have some ABAP objects and it has to be processed. Okay, so that's why if ABAP coding is still required, BW4 HANA transformation cannot be pushed down, then it can be processed in SAP ABAP runtime as well. Okay, so yeah, so as I've told you, from HANA 1.0 Service Pack 8, Eclipse-based modeling has started. The same thing which we have discussed on the top. Okay, yeah, so this picture describes the different runtimes. Okay, so on the left, you can see you have this ABAP design time. Basically, the design logic is in ABAP. Also, you want that logic to be executed in ABAP. So that's why ABAP design time plus runtime. though you have your HANA database. Okay, but on the right hand side, you can see ABAP design time, but then the logic you want to push it down to HANA runtime. So that is also possible. So both the scenarios are possible, but it all depends on what logic is there. Okay. So the next picture shows you, see on the left hand side, first picture you can see BW4 HANA 1.0, so less than service pack 8. Okay, so this was the screen which we are able to see, where you had this option of ABAP routine and AMDP script. Okay, but now after service pack 8, the screen would be visible like this. Okay, where you can see by default it will be HANA runtime. But then if you want it to be changed into ABAP runtime, you can switch it. You can click on that switch runtime so that the processing will happen in ABAP runtime. Okay, so before we had an option to select and then only the system used to take. Okay, less than service pack 8. But now by default it is HANA runtime, and if you want to really change it, then you have to manually go and check it. So in SAP BW for HANA, AMDP, okay, there is something called as ABAP managed database procedures. So these are the ones which are used for the HANA database processing, HANA script. Okay, like what we have for ABAP. So similarly for HANA runtime processing, this is the language AMD, okay, or the HANA script. So all these can be used: expert routine, start routine, end routine, but everything will be in AMDP or the HANA script. I think you have a session on this as well, I think on the last day. So we'll have a little more understanding on this the other day. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this picture gives you a little more, detail how the processing happens. So you can see on the left hand side, let's first discuss that. You have your source and your target, and there is a transformation, okay, between them. And the transformation is written in ABAP. Okay, ABAP coding, the regular, maybe it is a start routine, or maybe it is some field level routine, or it might be a end routine expert. It can be anything. Okay, so in that case, what happens? How the processing happens? The source data is first pushed, and the generated ABAP program, it again has to go to the ABAP application server. Okay, because it has to understand that code, right? And then again, after the processing, it has to push the data back into the database layer into the target. So basically, the data goes, back and forth. It has to go up here, generate into the application layer. Again, it has to come down. So, but then on the right hand side, if you see, if you use a AMDP or the HANA script, everything happens at the database layer itself. There is no intervention of the application layer at all. So basically, enhancing your performance. Right, the same thing has been mentioned here. So the ABAP-based transformations in BW4 HANA load the data package by package. We all know that, right? From SAP HANA database objects into the memory of the BW4 HANA application, which is your ABAP layer. The BW4 HANA transformation logic is then executed inside the application server, and the transformed data packages are shipped back to the database layer. Okay, so database server writes the resulting data packages into the target database object. During processing of an ABAP-based transformation, the source data package is processed row by row. The ABAP-based processing allows you to define field-based rules which are processed in sequential processing step. Okay, you know, right? It all goes in sequential because it is in memory. Therefore, the data is transmitted twice between the database and the application server. So this is basically the clear distinction between the application logic and data mass management. So the screen also shows you down here the comparison between your ABAP execution versus your HANA execution, BW4 HANA transformation. So right hand side blue, you can see all these ABAP start routine, your transformations, ABAP end routine, your expert routine. The left hand side, you can see all this is your SQL script start routine, transformations, your SQL script end routine, and your expert routine, everything in SQL. So let's just move down. So what happens in HANA? So instead of reading the data from the database, processing the logic in the application server, and writing again back to the database, the logic of the transformation is reflected in the SAP HANA calculation scenario. Since the logic is written in HANA script, right? Since we want the data to be processed in HANA, what happens is the logic of the transformation gets reflected in something called as SAP HANA calculation scenario. This is generated during the activation of the transformation. So when you activate the transformation, if it has a HANA script, basically this HANA calculation scenario gets created. Okay, so it uses this HANA calculation script to process the data and quickly give the result. Okay, it uses many select commands. Everything happens in a database. Okay, so the benefit of this approach is twofold. Okay, first thing, the data does not have to be transferred back and forth between the application server and the database server. And the second one is the transformation logic can leverage the full CPU power and parallelization of HANA database. Okay, so that's why it is a much more preferred way. So this is the same thing, the picture given, right? It is the same thing which has been explained with little more detail. So you can see here, there's a comparison made between your HANA runtime and ABAP runtime. So let me enlarge this. I think I'm not able to see the time, right? Yeah. So if you can see here, ABAP runtime, the total runtime was 1 minute 44 seconds, and here it is 54 seconds. In HANA runtime, it is 54 seconds. Okay. So they are showing you the comparison. Okay. Now the next one is creating and managing an SAP HANA optimized transformation. Okay. So see, a standard SAP HANA executable transformation, as I've told you right in the picture, any standard transformation has a predefined runtime, which is your HANA runtime. From Service Pack 8, right, onwards, I've told you, right, it is basically HANA runtime by default. Okay. So this runtime is defined as a general property of a transformation. Okay. So during the activation process, BW4 HANA application pushes down all the processing objects and generates this HANA database procedure, which I've told you, right, the calculation scenario, which happens in the HANA database. Okay, but then this particular process will not happen in two scenarios. It will impede in two scenarios. Which are those scenarios? The below two. First one is customer defined functions in formula editor. Okay, I think you all know, right? We have this formula editor where we can go into the in under transformation, different field routines, right? Where you can go and apply your like uppercase, lowercase. Apart from that, you have many others, right? So in that formula editor, if you have any customer defined functions, okay, in that case also, the processing cannot happen if that transformation has this particular customer defined function. Processing cannot happen in HANA. Okay, that's one limitation. Second one is customer defined ABAP routines. Also in your field routine, start routine expert, if there are any customer defined ABAP routines, then also you will not be able to push down the processing to HANA. Okay, so like for now, this is the limitation. But as you know, SAP keeps upgrading. So maybe the next versions, this also might not be there. Okay, so for now, you have to remember these two are the limitations what we have. That's why both the runtimes are available. It is not that though SAP runtime is there by default, you always have, if you think that you have those two, like the customer defined options, then you can go for ABAP runtime. So you can see in this picture they have shown you see the same thing which is there in the other picture as well, right? By default, it is SAP HANA runtime, but there is a button which says switch runtime. So it's written here, without any routines, a transformation can normally be executed in both runtimes, HANA runtime and ABAP runtime. Okay, so default is HANA runtime. But if you have, so if it is HANA runtime, that means there is some HANA scripts written, not ABAP routines. HANA scripts written in your start routine, end routine, and your export routine. In that case, automatically the default option is there, and when you activate this transformation, your calculation scenario is executed in the HANA database and processing happens. But then if there is any ABAP coding there, then you will have to manually come here, because it is, if you activate the transformation, if there is a coding and if you activate your transformation, it will throw an error saying it cannot process in SAP HANA runtime. It will show you that it cannot process. Then you'll have to come here and click on the switch runtime. Then it will be changed into ABAP runtime, and then you can, since you have all these right in ABAP, it will move forward. So the processing happens in ABAP. Got it? Any questions here?
No, Sunita.
Okay. Okay.
So HANA scripts means you will be coding in SQL statements.
Right.
For everything.
Right. Correct.
So the space will be the area will be the same place, or it will be in opens in another window
Say,
kind of.
yeah, you can use same place as well, and you can use database procedures also, HANA database procedures. So with them also, like this ANDP, all I told you, right?
Mhm.
So with that also you can code actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So this is not required. Yeah, see, in this also you can see recommendations. Okay, it is telling you that see, you can read down. Okay, in general, this particular HANA usage, okay, transformations in general, this is a feature to improve performance. It is mentioned in red, improve performance. It means if I do not gain significant or critical processing time by switching to the HANA runtime, there is no reason to do so. Okay, SAP recommends the usage of formulas in transformations, since most formulas can be pushed down. Okay, and see, the SAP HANA runtime mode is an alternative mode only, not a replacement of ABAP runtime mode. So basically, both of them are still available and you can use it. Okay. If you really feel that with ABAP runtime only your query performance is increased with a very complex logic or complex requirement, then you can go for HANA runtime. Yeah. So this is where it is. Same thing has been mentioned here. Yeah. And here, these are all the links, okay, where you can refer more information on how you can process or what scenarios, anything, on the transformations, optimizing transformations, you can go through these links. Okay, I think this ends the topic. Any questions before I move to the next one?
Can you show in the system or something that where you do define as HANA scripts?
Okay, sure. Let me
For
open
starter.
one. Let me open one of them. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry for that. Can you see here? You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. Where it is?
Yeah.
Right side.
Can you see here down here?
Yeah.
Runtime properties. Here. Okay. See, by default, it will be SAP HANA runtime.
Okay.
Okay. And if you want to switch it, see, it will ask you, do you really want to switch the runtime of this transformation? If you say yes, then it will automatically convert this to SAP ABAP runtime. Okay. So similarly, see, you can see here right side, global routines. So this is where you write your start routine. This is where you write your end routine. Okay, see this one, create ABAP will be enabled only when you have this ABAP runtime. Okay, that's why it's disabled. Okay, then you have your expert routine. Okay, so this is where you go and you change it. Okay. Okay.
HANA script in the sense it is a CDS tool, right?
No, the regular SQL commands.
Okay.
SQL commands, it can be AMDP, database procedures, anything you can use.
Okay.
Okay.
Will there be any, infrastructure differences if we push more and more onto push down onto HANA?
See, that's what. So basically, it all depends on the capacity, the data, your requirement. it will see CPU utilization, all that will be there, right? All that will be, so according to your project requirements, what kind of data is moving, how much you want to push down, because definitely licensing, all that will be part of it, right? On the decision, like the client has, specific license, how much they'll have to pay, right? How much data they consume and all that. So according to the CPU power you have, how much utilization is there, how much space is there, how much memory is there, all depends on all that. That's why SAP also says how much, if you want ABAP, I mean, if you really have ABAP routine and it is okay for your, it is not, not hampering your performance, and go for it. Otherwise, you can go for HANA.
Okay.
So both the approaches are available.
Yeah, any tool that will tell us like what can be converted versus what's not converted?
So as I said, right, if you have, it shows, right, the PDF itself shows, right, if you have routines, ABAP, all ABAP logic ones, it will not convert, basically. It will throw an error when you try to switch, right, or activate the transformation into HANA runtime. It will automatically throw an error. System itself will tell you that it will not be able to process in HANA. You don't need any tool. Okay. So accordingly, you can take a decision. And this also is like, changing day by day. As I said, right, for now we have those two limitations, but then slowly I think that we'll overcome that as well. So day by day there are changes. So if you want to, if there is a requirement and if you're not able to move forward, right, always help.sap. Just go and check, if anything else we can use to optimize, as it is all in the learning phase right now, right? All these new versions, 2.0, service packs, each service pack has new features, right? Okay, anything else, or shall I go to our next topic?
So where we can write start script, end script, field script.
Yeah, I've just shown you,
The
right?
same page. I mean,
Rotate.
I didn't see this
This
start
one.
script.
Yeah, start routine, basically.
Okay, start routine means start script only, right?
Yes. See, because why it is script? Because your runtime is HANA runtime.
Okay.
So it is start. So it's the same thing, just convert it. Instead of routine, it is start script.
Okay.
End script, expert script. So just that, naming difference. That's it. So same thing in the transformations, how we write, right?
Okay.
We double click on the field mapping. So same thing, nothing has changed. Only thing your script, your way of your language has changed. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to our next topic, which is your process chains. Okay. So yeah, so process chains also, right? Nothing much has changed from the previous versions, but few new features have added, or few new layout has changed. That's it. Okay, so let's discuss them. What is the first change you can see on the screen? Yeah, so basically your new with BW4 HANA 2.0 is that your process chains, you can see it in your info areas. Can you see on the screen itself? Before we never had this, right? Under the info area itself, we used to go and access it to our RSPC. It had a separate T code, your separate display component hierarchy and all that, right?
Yeah.
So now you can see it in your info area itself. So both of these show the same. Okay. So that's the only, look change. So same thing has been mentioned here. So they're saying that, BW4 HANA 1.0 process chains are still organized using display component hierarchy, but with 2.0, the display components used to organize process chains will be migrated to corresponding info areas. So that is the major change from 1 to 2. So for in-place conversions, I think you know all these conversions, right? I think we've gone through in the first session. So in-place conversions, the migration will be done automatically during the technical update to BW4 HANA. Okay, so all this migration happens automatically. But for shell and remote conversion, we recommend transporting the display component hierarchy to target system first before you move any process chains, because it has to have that particular path and all, like the whole path. Then only the process chain can be moved. So without this transport, process chains are temporarily transported to this nodes not connected. We have this nodes not connected info area, right? That will be moved there. So when the transport is done, the process chain gets reassigned to the correct info area. So to transport the display component hierarchy, you have to add this program. So all this transport related ones. During migration, all it will be useful for you. Okay, so these are the different variants, okay, process chain variants. Hello, somebody was saying something?
Yeah, how to display the data flow? Actually, all are you are creating in here in folder based, right? So how do you understand to display data flow to understand how these are
Yeah.
designed? Where
We
to
will
see
go
that?
through that as well. We will go through that. We'll go to the theoretical part and I'll be showing you a demo also. I'll show you that time.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have is process variants. Yeah. So, you know, process chains are basically designed with these process variants. So all these, you know, I think you all must, you can see, right? I've just enlarged. You want me to enlarge it more?
Yeah,
Yes,
better.
Yeah,
little.
yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So you can see there are 50 plus process variants in BW4 BW 7.5 powered by SAP HANA, whereas 30 plus in BW4 HANA. Why there is a decrease? Any idea?
There would be
Why
like
there is a decrease?
cube compression and all those things would not be required anymore, right? So
Exactly. The architecture has changed, right? Objects have been minimized, right? So all that, so all those are, most of them are obsolete. So that's why the variants are also reduced. Okay. I don't want to go through each one of them. These are all the common ones, right? Let's move to the next one. Yeah. So this picture, let's discuss this. So this shows
Change
you a
log deletion is
comparison.
there.
Sorry?
Is that change log housekeeping deletion is there or it has been somewhere there?
We have this new concept actually for deletion. So can you see here? New BW for HANA variants. BW requests status management. So I think this one can be used for housekeeping. This is a new addition actually with this version.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this one shows you the comparison of process chains, SAP BW Classic with your BW HANA. So you can see all these which are there in the previous versions are not available in the current version. The only thing which is valid here is DTP and your activation of ADSO, and the last one, Delta merge, right, which was not at all available in your Classic. So much simplified objects here. So here also they are showing you the simplified layout as well. So previously in BW Classic, you had this, flow like this, where you had start, load, your info package, your indexes, your deletion, creation, DTPs, indexes, DB statistics and all that. But now it is just your start, DTP, and your activation of request or deletion of request according to your requirement. Okay, next one. Yeah. So this also shows you what are all the obsolete, okay, process variants in SAP HANA. So this we anyway know that these are absolute in BW as well right now, right? All this accelerator aggregates, I mean this filling of accelerator indexes, construction and all that. Additionally, these are also obsolete in BW4 HANA, which is your change run, which you just asked me, info packages, deletion requests from BSAs, all these not required because objects itself are obsolete. Yeah. So here, they're giving some more information during migration. Okay. So when you migrate from BW Classic to BW powered by HANA, the obsolete process variants in the existing chains are skipped during processing and cannot be modeled in new process chain. So SAP recommends you do a housekeeping before you move these objects. That will be a better approach. So after conversion to BW4 HANA, number of process variants are no longer available. So the process chains as such are still fully supported. But if a variant must be deleted during in-place conversion, for example, then the corresponding process chain has to be adjusted accordingly. So we know, right, during the conversion process also, it's always better we do some housekeeping of the obsolete objects so that we will not have further problems during migrations. So best practice is to do a housekeeping before you move it. So this one also shows you process types, okay? The tool support for conversion to HANA. So you can see deletion of request from ADSOs. This was the process type, and now it has been replaced with another process type. So the change of process types, it is mentioning here. So whatever has been removed, they're mentioning here.
Delete overlapping request, how it has been replaced actually, because it was a useful process, right?
Yeah, that's what. It has a different process type here. Can you see here? Instead of request DL, the process type is different. ADSO, ORL. It's just that the process type is different because the object is different, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so it is not removed. It is just that the object type is different.
Okay.
Process type, I mean. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. This one also shows you the absolute process type. But these are all removed. Okay, just because we don't need them, these are all removed. Okay, now, yeah, another major change to the previous versions is your how you model your process chain or you monitor your process chain. Okay, so in initial versions where we used to go to RSPC T code, and there we used to model the process chain, right? So, but now we have a web-based cockpit. It's called as the BW4 HANA cockpit. So there you go and you model your process chain. So this is the first option, modeling, where you go and you model your process chain. So we'll be doing that in our demo. Okay. So this is the modeling option. Second one is, the next difference is modeling we used to do in RSPC, which we do now in modeling tab of the cockpit, and next monitoring. So we used to do monitoring where in RSPC MT code, right? So that also has been merged into your web cockpit with this monitoring option. Okay, so apart from these as well, there are many more options in the web cockpit, like data management. That means in the how to see the data in your info providers and all that. So all that will be included in the web cockpit. Okay. Okay. So same thing has been mentioned here. Okay. So instead of the standard GUI transactions, we now go to web cockpit. So there we have different tabs where what all options you can do. You can model process chains, you can model the process variants there. Okay, you can basically there is an option called dashboard where you can see the process chain in a dashboard layout. Different forms of charts in the form of charts and all that. Okay, and then we have this. You can see the latest status of your process chains. Okay, so different user interfaces options are there in here, or you can monitor the runs, which I've just told you, where we used to earlier do it in RSPCM. Okay. Yeah, and another important concept in process chains is something called as streaming. Okay, so we'll see what is streaming. So you all might have heard this might have heard or worked on RDA, right? Which is called as real-time data acquisition. Anybody has worked on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is basically, the streaming is nothing but your enhanced version of your RDA. Okay. So you can see what we used to do in earlier versions is, we had this RDA concept where you used to use that to transfer data from your source systems to your BW info providers, something like, near real-time data. Okay. So you used to schedule it for hour or minute, and then, it used to, whenever data is updated into the table, the data used to be extracted or pushed to your BW info providers, right? And the sources for that was, this web service. We used to have this web service, or it can be an ODP SAP, ODP SLT, and all that. Okay. And the targets were classic DSOs or info cubes because it is old BW versions. Okay. But ADSOs are not supported. Okay. So basically, RDA is not supported in BW4 HANA. Got it? So see, you can see in the picture, so BW 7.x RDA, there is actually a daemon, okay, where we used to schedule the daemon every according to your requirement, like every hour or a minute, and whenever data will be there in the source, that would be pushed and the process chain would be triggered. Okay, now the same concept they have moved to streaming mode. Okay, something called as streaming mode. So since SAP BW 7.5 Service Pack 4 on HANA, SAP has merged the RDA capabilities into the framework of BW process chains with property streaming mode. In BW4 HANA, these streaming process chain can be started or triggered very frequently, which enables an update of data to ADSOs in almost real time. Okay, so it is much more enhanced than your RDA. Okay, so same thing has been mentioned here. Okay. Okay, so it is now showing you how do you go and check that streaming option. So you can go to this process chain attributes and the streaming mode, or the web cockpit I told you, right? We'll be seeing it next. So there also you can go and you can open the process chain and there is a small button there called streaming. Okay, you just have to select that. That means the process chain will be in streaming mode. Okay, but then having this feature, there are some prerequisites as well. So what are the prerequisites? The source system should be of type ODP or HANA. Okay, so you cannot just any other source system, you cannot use the streaming option. So it has a limitation that, or the prerequisite that the streaming source type should be ODP or HANA. And next one is data source with delta capability or DTP with extraction mode delta. Okay, this is another prerequisite. And the third one is data source is enabled for streaming. This is optional, but the other two, the source type should be these two, this or this, and the data source should be delta capable, or the DTP extraction mode is delta. Okay. The process variants that can be used are limited to also in the streaming process chain. These are the process variants which can be used. Okay. They can be a start, DTP, activation, there can be an ABAP program, a decision, and or XOR. Okay, so these are there are two types of run modes. Okay, so one can be one is your push or the intelligent pull. Okay, where the data transfer is started only when the new data is available in the source. Okay, so this is basically, as I said, near real time, right? Very real time. Whenever data comes in fall, it immediately picks up and the process chain is triggered. Next one is scheduled pull. This is our regular schedule, right? Where you just go and process chain is scheduled periodically, irrespective of the existence of the new data in the source. So two modes are available. A similar thing has been explained here. And it also says streaming type. Streaming process chain can only consist of few process type, which we have just discovered on the top. Okay. Yeah, the same thing is saying the scheduled or the so the streaming mode also, right? So when a process chain is in streaming mode is executed, right, it goes through several stages. Okay, so this is all again theoretical. Okay, just have to just understand what happens. So initial execution. So first is the initial execution. So when a process chain is scheduled for the first time, right, so it is started basically without the streaming out, basically something like an initialization run. Okay, you know the initialization run, right? So first time when you run, it basically creates a counter, something like that. Okay, so when a process chain is scheduled for the first time, it is started outside the streaming mode. In that run, every process is called, and every process means every process in your process chain. Okay, and it does initializations if needed. Once this run is successful, then the first streaming execution starts. Okay, if it fails, the chain is stopped in failed state. You'll have to check what is the problem. Okay, next is first streaming execution. So after the initial execution, all the processes of the chain are started regardless of whether they have data or received event. Okay, they then get the chance to switch their mode from normal to streaming or streaming processing. Okay, for data loads, for example, if it is necessary to switch to streaming mode in case of ODP source systems, means the source system starts a daemon job. Okay, as I've told you, right, with ODP, there is this provisioning technique where I told you, right, there is this ODP, ODQmon, right, like RSA7 I've told you, right, there's something called ODQmon. So there you can go and trigger or start or configure a daemon job. Okay, something like a V3 job. Okay, in simple terms, the job, right, you have to schedule that job. So according to that job only, it will get triggered. Basically, it will receive a event and the process chain gets triggered. Okay, this checks for new data and sends events to SAP BW4 HANA. So that's why the precondition was source systems, ODP and HANA. Okay, for streaming the option to be used. Next one is normal streaming executions. The process chain runs in default streaming mode and processes the new source data to ADSO. Okay. Next is last streaming execution. So this is the last execution can be started by unscheduling the streaming process chain. If you don't want the streaming process chain to, the process chain to be in streaming mode, right? You unschedule it. So that is called as a last streaming execution. So then all the processes are called regardless of their data or events, and they are asked to revoke the streaming mode. Basically, they are changing the mode from streaming to normal mode back when you unschedule. Okay. So these are the basic steps which the process chain undergoes when you select the streaming. So this is again the same thing which they have discussed in more detail. There are these streaming modes, okay? So the data transfer controlled by the streaming process chains can be distinguished in different run modes, okay? A push and two pull modes. So the main difference between them is whether the consuming system or the source system is triggering the data transfer, right? So in push mode, the source system sends a trigger to BW4 HANA, which executes the data transfer. In pull mode, the BW4 HANA as target system is in the lead. Basically, it will pull the data. It means that it checks the new data in the source and transfers the new data to the target info provider. But in that also, you have two versions of it. So one is your intelligent pull, where the BW4 HANA checks regularly in the source for new data. However, the data transfer is executed only when this check is successful. Okay. So this means no empty requests are generated in the target. So this is one of the advantage. Okay. So sometimes, when you just, when there is no data, zero requests are also updated, right? When there is no, but this is an intelligent pull. That's why. Okay. It will directly go and check if there is data only, then only it will pull the data. Next is scheduled. The process chain leverages the streaming framework and is scheduled periodically. This is our regular thing. Okay. If scheduled, if required, this can happen frequently in small intervals up to every minute as a maximum. The data transfer is executed for every scheduled run, which means a request is created in the target provider irrespective of the existence of new data in the source. Okay, that is the difference between them. They've pictorially showed you here. You can see, let me just maximize this. Yeah, so here you can see this is the push mode. Okay, here you can see what is happening. See, the source systems are all important. These are all the source systems which are required for this push mode. What are all those? ODP, SAP, but it should have Delta capable data sources which are streaming enabled. So all these are the prerequisites. Or it can be an ODP CDS. ODP CDS basically uses the CDS views, okay, which I discussed maybe in the first topic, right? ODP CDS views. And then those should also be Delta capable. Next is ODP BW, all Delta capable data sources. And then you have your ODP SLT. Okay, so all this will be covered in your provisioning technique. Okay, and then so what is the first step here? So using these provisioning techniques, trigger by ODP source system when new data is available in ODP queue. I told you, right? ODQ mon. So that is where that is a queue. So with that, the trigger would be given and then data will be pushed and then the DTP will be executed. Okay, execute DTP and new data will be pushed to the target. Since the process chain is in streaming mode. Okay, this is one type. See, main thing is preconditions. Okay, so that's why they're clearly mentioning here. What are the preconditions? This mode is only available for ODP data sources of type SAP extractors, ABAP CDS views, BW info providers, and SLT. Other ODP types like ODP HANA, ODP BYD does not support this push. So you have to remember this when you're trying to model or design anything. Another precondition is that data sources are Delta capable. Okay, so again there is a difference between each of them. ODP SAP or ODP CDS, the Delta capability is dependent on the implementation. Okay, ODP BW, the Delta capability depends on source info provider. Supported sources are DSOs, classic info cubes, and ADSOs. Next is ODP SLT. all data sources are delta capable in general. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. Next is finally the data sources need to support streaming. Okay, so there are some which directly have streaming supported for them. So if that is the case also, it will be useful for your process chain which will be configured for streaming. So ODP CDS, ODP BW, ODP SLT, all delta capable data sources support this property by default. Okay, so they are telling that this is by default, is there for these of them. ODP SAP, this property depends on the individual implementation for your extractors. Okay, so let me not go into too detail of this.
And intelligent pull and schedule pull, if you do, do we need to define both at the same time or?
No. No, it is your option according to your, as I said, it all depends on your requirement, right? Your what type of source connectivity is there, basically your data provisioning technique, what kind of data source is there, if the data source is delta capable, if the data source DTP is streaming enabled, real time enabled, many things are there, as I've just discussed, right? Yeah.
But streaming means always schedule pull only happens, right? Frequent intervals or some scheduled intervals.
No, that's what. See, scheduled pull is you're trying to schedule the process chain leverages streaming framework and is scheduled periodically. You are scheduling the pull here. Streaming could be there, you're scheduling. But intelligent pull is whenever data is available in the source, you have this daemon there where you have already configured in the source. The daemon goes and checks frequently if data is available. So automatically, for example, there are 10 records today, right? You have pulled it, fine. But tomorrow again, there are 2 records. It goes in and intelligently checks because the daemon keeps intelligently checking that queue. It checks 2 records, immediately it will push the data and the process chain starts and data will be pushed to your target, whatever is your target in the process chain. So that's why it's called intelligent pull. You don't have to schedule it.
Oh, no need to schedule it. So either
no
or.
need to schedule it. Yeah. That's why the daemon is there, right? So you have scheduled a daemon in your source. So that does the intelligent work there, and then it pushes it.
Okay, so in that case, always intelligent will be preferable when both data and new readers for real-time data acquisition, RDA, right?
Yes. See, on the top also they have mentioned, right? Preferred, somewhere I've seen. This option was a preferred one. See, can you see here? Runtime modes. Yeah, preferred one. Your scheduled pull is an alternative mode. Okay, this is push, and now let's come to your. Yeah, this is the intelligent pull, okay, which we were just discussing. So here you can see delta capable HANA data sources for SDI connections which support real-time change data capture. Okay, there is another concept called as SDI, okay, smart data integration. That is also one of the latest technology or data provisioning technique. Okay, so that is again a vast thing. How you configure and all that, but I think that is again covered in your data provisioning chapter. Okay, I think day after tomorrow you have this unit, so you'll understand. So just have to know this is one of the data provisioning techniques. So in there also, what it basically it is this type of technique basically has this real time change data capture technology. Okay, where whenever data comes into that particular table, right, source table, it is automatically picked and it is pushed. Okay, so you can see here. See, first, what is the first option? Check for new data. So each 60 seconds, it checks the new data. So you have this here. Okay, checks the data. Second one, it executes the DTP to load data only if new data is available. So that is the intelligent pull. Okay, but it all depends on your source.
Okay.
So everything again boils down to your source and what kind of data source you're using. Okay, so you cannot use this type of techniques with any data source, only particular to source. Okay, so if your project has this kind of connectivity, the particular data source is available to you, then you can use this functionality, intelligent pull. So preconditions are important. So this mode is available for HANA data source only. Okay, these data sources need to be delta enabled. If the source system type is HANA local or HANA MTC, check requirements. Okay, not for you. If the source system type is SDA, so I've just told you SDI, right? So SDA is also another technology, smart data access and smart data integration. Okay, so smart data access is not supported for this runtime mode in general. Okay, so this is not supported for this. Only so SDI type of source connectivity is supported for this type of intelligent tool. Okay, because it has a runtime change capture technology in it. That's why this is preferred, or this is the prerequisite for it. You can see there are different adapters. All this is all technical in the configuration. There are different adapters which are used to pull the data in this SDI technique. Okay, and now we are discussing what is the scheduled pull. So you can see this is a scheduled pull option. Okay, but here also you have these options that the source should be ODP HANA, ODP BYD. So delta capability should be there. Delta capability is not streaming enabled. Okay, for if it is ODP SAP, then it can be delta capable, but need not be streaming enabled. Or HANA, delta capable is for all SDA connections. Again, this SDA thing has come into the picture. Okay, see, can you see here? It is showing that you have to periodically schedule it. This is like the regular thing which we schedule, right? The job periodically, once a minute or once a day or once a week or once a month, according to your requirement. The same thing. That is a scheduled. Okay. Same thing. You always have to go through the prerequisites before you decide to go for any options. Okay. So same thing. Mode is available for ODP data sources which are not streaming enabled. This mode is also available for HANA data sources which rely on HANA SDA connections or SDI connection not listed in the run order. Another precondition is that the data source is delta capable. So I think the most common thing is it should be delta capable. Yeah. Next is monitoring. Okay. So I've shown you. Let's not read all this. Let's just see. Okay, let's finish this one and then we can go into the demo. So you can see this is basically the summary of all we have just discussed. Okay. So all the streaming modes, different modes. So push, intelligent pull, and we have the scheduled pull. So same thing, main characteristic, just discussed, right? So target SAP BW4 HANA receives a trigger from the source system when a new record is generated. Then the process change is executed immediately. But intelligent pull, the target BW system checks every 60 seconds if a new record is available. In that case, then they execute it. And if it is a scheduled pull, the process chain is scheduled periodically and creates a new request irrespective of the new data in the source or not. And you have the support types, which is most important, supported types of source system. So you have to go through these. What I recommend is once your your data provisioning done, right, your chapter on data provisioning techniques are done, just refer back to wherever these are mentioned, like this chapter, so that you'll have a better understanding. You can relate to the things better. Why exactly only ODP SAP or ODP CDS should be used for this type, why only SAP SDI extractors are used for this type, something like that. Okay, so it's better to come back and refer this. I think this one thing, if you refer, that will be fine. Okay, so I think this completes. Let's quickly go and some of the links again, okay, which if you want, you can explore more on this process chains and all. Let me quickly go and just create a very simple process chain.
For this, you have to go to GUI, right?
Yes, that's right. That is the major difference. Okay.
What
I had opened it
transaction?
already. That's why.
What transaction you used?
BW4.
What transaction have you
Number
used?
4. Yeah, BW number 4 web,
Okay.
WEB.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the major change, okay, process chains. So this is called as a BW cockpit, okay, where we do all the modeling process chains, monitoring of process change. You can see these, right? So this is the modeling of process change. This is the monitoring of the process chains. And apart from these, right, these are all related to other units as well, where you have this data management. See all these DSOs, you can manage a request, info object request, open hub destination request, external HANA view request, everything, data, manage data tiering also. Tomorrow you have a chapter, I think, on this only, DTOs and all that. So I think you will be using this. Okay. So you can do everything here. And then you have this data display and maintenance. Okay, you can maintain your info object. Remember, we used to, if we want to maintain an info object, we used to right click, maintain info object, right? All that also, all that functionality can also, we can do from here. Okay, you have this hierarchy maintenance. So everything has been configured in this web cockpit only. Okay, that is the major difference in B4 HANA. So let's quickly go and create a simple process chain just to show you. Okay, this is a create button. Just go here. So this is, how it looks, your creation screen. From here, just give a description. The area, if you want to give, you can say this is a streaming option, which I told you. Okay. These are all, some more options available. So this one, and by default, your start variant will be there. Okay. So in the start variant, just want to show you, you can see this is the scheduling type. So this is where you do your scheduling. Is it immediate? Is it daytime based, event based, or workday based? Okay, all that you can schedule here. Reoccurrence also. What is the frequency for reoccurrence? Okay. Or if you have any other restrictions, okay, date falls or non-working day, all that, different options accordingly you can do. So for now, let's keep it as this. And also see, you have this mail option where I think you can shoot email once the process chain is done. We have this option, right, in the regular BW also. So it's a similar one. Okay. So now what we'll do is go and add a process. Okay. What type of process? We'll have to select here. Let's add a DTP. Let's see what DTP we can get. Okay, let's take this. Okay, so this is your DTP. Let's add activation as well, another process type. Okay, the description. Then you'll have to select your input parameter. Okay, so we have created a simple process chain with a DTP, and you have your activation. Okay, now let's save it. It's asking you for a technical. So let's say demo. Say now activated. So as I've shown you, the first tab was, let's go back again. This is the first tab. Okay, so modeling happens through the first tab. Now what we have to do? Scheduling, right? Go to here and just check where is your process chain. This one, right? Demo process chain. This is what we created just now. So click on this and schedule it. This is the schedule button. See, it was activated and scheduled. Let's refresh. So since we have scheduled it, it must have gone to the top. Can you see? It is success. This is the latest run. Okay. This will show you all the other details. Okay, latest run start time, run time, if there is any errors, who's responsible, or all the other details. So the request has been successful. Yeah.
Any other way to go to the processing monitor, because like we don't have the cockpit access, right?
No, this is the only one. For BW4 HANA, they have completely, removed that RSPC thing from your GUI. You definitely must be having access to this.
Uh,
So this is how you will have to access and work on the process chains.
okay, but we didn't got
Okay.
any access for that.
Okay, let me check with Preeti. Okay, she's not there in the call, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll check with Preeti, and I'll let her know this, because this is required. Because for the other units also, right? Like I've told you, the data management and all that, right? Manage requests, info objects, and all that. Just to view, once you have done the designing everything in Eclipse, and if you want to check, request how to, maintenance of objects, basically, all that can be done here. So it is actually needed for you. Process chain, at least you have to do it from here only. But other things also, it will be useful for you to have this. Okay, I'll check and I'll post in the group. I think there is this group, right?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I will let you. Okay, this is needed actually. Okay, so that is about process chains. This is the last topic, okay, what I have. So if you want, I can give you a break, else we can continue. And another thing is, once we are done with this, I would request all to at least utilize the time. I think we are, well ahead of time, right? It is just 12 o'clock, going to be 12. So I think I'll take another just 10-15 minutes only. So after that, if possible, if you can, go through the exercises, at least start off from the other exercises, other session exercises, it will be helpful for you guys. So you want a break or shall I continue? Okay, I'll
Continue.
continue.
Yeah,
Sure,
continue.
sure. This, I will not take much time, the last one, so you can practice the other, whatever time is left for you guys. Yeah. So the last topic is authorizations. Okay, so this is nothing. There's no change actually from the other BW versions, except that those objects. Since the objects have changed, the authorization objects related to them have changed. So that's the only thing I'm going to discuss. So we know, right? Authorization is most important thing for any company. Who should see, who all can see the data or work on those objects, or what level of access they should have on the data or the objects, right? So the same authorization concept we have, which we know that there are two, right? Standard authorizations, which are basically authorization on the objects with which the users can work or access the objects. So the same thing. And analysis authorizations is authorizations on the data they can view or data with which they can work. Okay, so the same, the T codes used for configuring this are the same. Okay, the RSec admin, PFCG, SU21. So all of you are aware of them, right? So we have to use the same. So same T codes, no difference in that at all. Okay, so I'll be discussing only the differences. So you can see here, conversion logic of popular standard authorizations. Okay, so see, these are the important ones. So what are the original ones? Let me just maximize this. Yeah, so you can see left hand side, what were the original ones and what are the successor ones. Since we don't have these, right, hybrid provider, InfoCube, DSO, InfoSet, multi-provider, info object, info source, all that, the authorization objects have changed actually. That is the only thing. They're just mapping. Is the only difference. Okay. So in general, BW4 HANA leverages the same authorization concepts as SAP NetWeaver BW. Okay. However, simplification of object types in a BW4 HANA has an impact on the authorization objects. When converting an SAP BW system to BW4 HANA, authorizations for object types that are not available in BW4 HANA, like cubes, have to be replaced by authorizations for corresponding object types like the ADSs. Okay, like in the example they showed, right? The cube authorization R underscore SL cube requires a replacement with R underscore S underscore ADS. And see, these are the objects which are obsolete. Since objects are not there, these authorization objects are also obsolete, like this analytical index, these no BECs, those 7.0s, all these info cubes, info sets, multi providers, semantically partitioned objects, 3.x flows, related objects, all these are obsolete now. So these are the objects which are relevant for BW4 HANA. Okay, the complete list they have given here. So you can refer to this. Now, during conversion, they are giving you some tips here. So conversion aspects which need to be considered on this authorization. Okay, what will be the impact? So the impact of a conversion of BW4 HANA on authorization is the following. Okay, so there are two types of authorizations, right? So the standard authorization needs manual adjustments. Okay, however, transfer cockpit transaction RSP4H conversion tool provides support in conversion project. So you have that in conversion, you have the tool, right? I think the first day you must have seen there are different tabs for different, see down there they have shown you this conversion cockpit. Okay, so this authorizations, automatic conversion and some manual conversions both are needed. Okay, so that can be done through this transfer standard authorization, this one, initial run and the delta run. So that is the same thing they're explaining. And analysis authorizations which are maintained directly in transaction RSEC admin are automatically adjusted when using HANA tools. So manual authorization needs, standard authorization needs that manual adjustment, but some of them are automatically converted. But analysis authorizations are directly, they're maintained during this conversion. Okay. And these are the links, okay, which will give you more information. If you want to go through the deep dive into the analysis, the authorization concept, you can use this. I think with this, it is end of this. Yeah, I think that's it. Pretty much it for me today. Any questions from anybody? Yeah, I know like most of the topics are all theoretical, and you have to really go through the exercises. Then only you'll be able to relate and have more questions on the topics.
So, Sunita, like earlier, like we had these bags queries and all that. When we were doing this creating query in Query Designer, we were assigning it to roles and all that. So now with analysis for Office, how that will work?
Yeah, that's what this one comes into picture again. I've shown you, right? So this the roles would be during the migration, right? If it is a migration project, during the migration, the roles would be mapped to the new roles.
Mhm.
So as Bex had roles and all, right, mapped for those objects, so analysis for Office also roles would be designed and mapped accordingly. So all that happens. So as I said, right, standard authorizations, some manual adjustments are needed, but analysis authorizations, they are directly, which are maintained directly in transaction agreement, they're automatically adjusted. Here it says, right? So it is automatically adjusted, at least the analysis authorization. But standard authorizations, manual adjustments are needed. So you don't have to manually maintain everything, but some of them are needed.
Okay.
So everything when happening, the tools will give you a message
Mhm.
during migration, like these are not supported or these are obsolete. You have to take care of this before moving forward. So you will do that and then move forward to the next step into the migrations
Okay.
process.
And
That's
rest
all.
PFCG and all that works as usual. So
Everything is
new
same.
one we can do that. Okay.
Everything is same. Our segment, PFCG, everything is same. So see, this is all one-time activity, right? At least first time when you transfer migration, everything will be taken care. Afterwards, whatever are the new objects, anyway, what are the relevant objects, right? The new objects. So you will anyway configure them under those relevant new authorization objects from there on. Anything else from anybody? No? Okay, so yeah, so I think I request all of you to go through those demos. I'll quickly post this document which I have on the exercises, okay? So that will also be useful to you guys. So please go through, work on them, then you'll have better understanding. It's all about practice actually. Because see, we all are BW consultants, so we know the concept, at least how BW works, the basic things and all we know. But it is just that new tool, the configurations are a little different, concept is a little different. All that if you just work through in the system, then it will register better for you. That's it. Let me stop the recording and I'll be sending you this the exercise document, and also we'll